I'm Christoph. I'm the pitch doctor. Some people might know me like that. So I help startups pitch better. But I also have my own startup. And because it's very relevant for our American friends right now, especially, I want to pitch it to you today. And the startup is called Berlin, and we're in the startup home as a service business. Before I tell you what we do right now, what our product is, I want to give you a little bit of a company history though. Because our startup was actually founded in 1237, so we're definitely later stage. We were going strong for quite a while, but then unfortunately we got the wrong CEO in 1933, and because of that we almost went bankrupt in 1945. Gladly, investors came, bailed us out, got rid of the old CEO, and gave us a new lease on life. But as it happens, investors, they start fighting. So for a while, we actually had to do two products, one for capitalists and one for communists, which is stupid because for a startup, focus is super important. So we were very happy that in 1989, this ended, and we started working with new investors yet again on the vision that we have for our product today. So what is the problem that we're solving with our product today? If you're an entrepreneur in one of these great cities, you're part of the greatest startup ecosystem in the world in the US. All of the great companies are from there. You've built your team, you've also found great mentors that help you. You maybe even found a really cheap place to live, which is hard in those cities. But now a disaster strikes. This guy becomes president. Now, what do? You obviously have to leave the country. And probably your first impulse is Canada. And I get it, because you already like their music. You know you can take epic selfies, send them to your friends with monkeys in the background. But do you really want this to be part of your life? Do you really think this is food? And do you know half their country runs in French? Plus, wouldn't this at least scare you a tiny bit? It would scare me. So Canada, not an option. What is the option? Europe. Or more specifically, the EU. The second biggest market in the world. And Europe being so diverse, you could send really epic selfies to your friends from around Europe. But what city would you base your startup in? London? Have you heard about Brexit? They basically fell for the lies of the guy, voted for him, and now they're really regretting it. Is there a lesson in this? Maybe, but London is definitely not the place where you want to open your startup right now. How about Zurich? Not good, because they have good jobs there. So people work in those good jobs instead of working for a startup. How about Barcelona? One of the greatest cities in the world. Unfortunately, way too many distractions. Beaches, you're not going to get stuff done. It's just too sunny and too pretty. How about Stockholm? Well, you're not going to get shit done there either. How about Rome? Rome is great, but also the food is great. And when's the last time you did great work after having a lot of carbs for lunch? Plus, do you really want to be in a city where there's a lot of pressure to dress up every morning and look amazing? I don't even want to shower when I'm a startup founder, so that's not an option. And don't even get me started on Amsterdam, because you might be able to withstand the distractions there, but your coders won't. But don't worry, because we have the perfect solution for your problem. It's called Berlin, where dressing up is not a problem. Where too pretty is not a problem. Where too sunny definitely is not a problem. We're also too yummy, not really a problem. And where too sexy is only very occasionally a problem. Berlin is also a place where we know that you don't build walls, but you tear them down. Now, we have a beta version out right now, and we still have some work to do on the front end, we know that, but we have a great product vision and it's gonna be amazing. There's definitely no good jobs in Berlin. Actually, the former mayor coined the phrase poor but sexy for the city, and it's been the motto of Berlin ever since. We surrounded Berlin by this. We call it Brandenburg. It's like Nebraska without the tourist attractions. So there's no way you're going there on the weekend, you're spending your time coding. And if you do need a little bit of a break, we have the best nightclubs in the world. Berlin has always been a very creative city. If this guy did his best work in Berlin, so can you. And we know Berlin isn't perfect. We still have some bugs in our product. For one, most of Berlin runs on the English language, but some parts still require German. And this being an actual German word, well, good luck to all the foreigners. We also know that Germans are grumpy, and we don't have a sense of humor, so that's obviously a problem. And we have way too many hipsters in Berlin. But we're fully aware of those bugs, and we have our best people working on fixing them. Now, you might say, isn't Berlin part of a bigger product package called Germany? And yes, well, technically you're correct, Berlin is not really Germany. So if you use our product, you don't have to use any of the weird products that the product Germany has. Our business model is very simple. We have a freemium business model. It's free if you're a refugee from a war country, because that's the right thing to do. And if you're coming because if Trump is president, then you have to pay. And how do we charge you? Well, we have two revenue streams. One is in-city purchases. So from soft drinks to haircuts, whatever you buy in Berlin, we take a small commission on that. Plus, if you sell your startup successfully, we take 50% of that and we call it taxes. 50%? Yes, 50%. It's like this guy is running our country. Now, this is the competition, and I think you can clearly see how we're beating everybody else. Do we have traction? Yes, we do. We already have 3,000 tech startups in Berlin. You might ask, are they any good? I tell you, they're fucking great. These are some of the logos, you probably recognize them. Some of the most successful startups from Berlin. But now you might say, if I move my startup to Berlin, do I get investors? And that's obviously important. But I can tell you, the best American investors have already invested in startups in Berlin, so don't worry. They might show up to a meeting completely hungover because of this though. That's the downside. Also, you might ask, do I get all the raw vegan hipster food that I need to survive in Berlin? And I can tell you, yes, you can buy it on every street corner. We actually also have a company in Berlin that makes the best coconut water in the world. And if you say, I need to go to my mom's every once in a while for some home cooking, that's also not a problem. Because Air Berlin, the local airline, has a direct flight to New York City, and it's going to start direct flights to San Francisco and LA soon. This is the team behind our startup. We're working really hard to achieve our vision. We have a great advisory board that's helping us along the way. And now, you might ask, is this a serious offer? Should we really come from the US to Berlin to do our startups when Trump becomes president? And I have to say, yes, it's a real offer. Because in Berlin, when we think about Americans, we still think of this guy and not this guy. When we needed your help in 1948-49, you came to our rescue for 428 days straight. You flew everything we needed in the city in by airplane. And we are ready to return the favor. Now, we're not going to drop raisins over Silicon Valley because that would be stupid. But we would allow you to come to Berlin, build your startup here. And if you like it, you can actually stay here forever, you can start a family, and you can send your kids to college for free. Because that's how we do it in Germany. And yes, it's like this guy is running our country. If you don't like it, you can of course go back after 8 years of Trump, when finally Mrs. Clinton is becoming president of the United States. So hop on the next plane to Berlin, start your company here, bring your team, because it's your choice if you want to be this guy or this guy. And one last thing, don't bring this guy, you can keep him. Thank you.